Dude, it's March and it's almost our 1 year anniversary. What should we talk about?
Time for another How It Feels episode, except, well, we cover every single legendary and mythical Pokemon in existence. Excluding the ones we've already talked about.
How the heck are we going to do that?
Okay, starting off with none other than, well, Articuno. Articuno is a really weird Pokemon, with an ice-flying typing and, well, a really weird role as a defensive wall. And unfortunately for it, it kind of fails miserably at that, due to that 4 times weak to rocks and neutrality to ice, aka its own stabs, and while just getting obliterated by Stealth Rock if it doesn't run heavy-duty boots. So in short, if you don't run boots on it, you'll die very fast. Well, and about its abilities. Pressure is, well, it kinda sucks, and Snow Cloak kinda shouldn't be run unless you're on a heal team. And besides, even if you are on a heal team, there's way superior options to Articuno than, like, Arctozolt, Arctofish, etc. I don't really know. Faucets as well. Now, as for Articuno Galarian, aka actually me, competitive is a really good ability, I'll say that. I mean, I couldn't count the amount of times I got to +3 in a single match alongside Calm Mind, because that thing allows, well, for insane power leveling and just yeeting Landorus no fear. However, my move pool, well, for the lack of a better word, sucks. Sure, I'm being a journalist on Pokemon out of universe, but in universe, just don't use me. Go find some other bird like Zapdos or Modred.
Oh, that's how you do it. Okay then. 2 words. Defensive Pivot. Static is a way better ability compared to Snow Cloak, letting Zapdos paralyze physical hitters, proceed to roost the damage off, then Volt Switch into a much more capable hitter. It commonly sees use on either Balance or Rain teams. Rain teams, well, it hits insanely hard for that 125 special attack stat. Overall, just give it a try if you want a hilarious time. Galarian Zapdos, on the other hand, oh boy.
Hey, you! Yeah, you. Have you ever wanted to set everything on fire with the power of KFC? Well, Moltres has been doing that job ever since 1996 in Gen 1 OU. It's hilarious just watching the timer slowly go down as Moltres just looks at a bird or Shifu while the other trainer is probably just crying at his desk for the terrible RNG of getting burned by Flame Body. Moltres also packs a punch with its really, quite neat special and physical attacks that plus a great move pool to put pressure on the opposing team without actually having the ability to pressure. Okay, moving on. Meanwhile, Moltres Galarian is, how do I put it?
Look at this dude. Wait till you see the... No. Look at the top of his head. Look at his lips.
Ah, yes. Incredibly tanky! Sadly, it doesn't get roost, although I'll admit that be broken, but it still lives a lot of hits and hits hard with that +1 Fiery Wrath or Hurricane or... maybe that, but... just go use it if you want to watch people mauled from being unable to OHKO you with special attacks. Seriously, Game Freak, just please give that damn thing Scorching Sands. I just wanna smack Tyranitar with, please!
Mewtwo is, well, quite a solid Pokemon for what the beatings of the newer generations have given it. Stab Side Strike is more often than not the best counter to Blissey, hands down, and it also has amazing coverage moves. Unfortunately, said aforementioned beatings comes in the form of Yveltal, Calyrex Shadow Rider, and Zacian. Mewtwo can't really take a hit from the three of them. However, there's one thing that it excels at, checking Eternus and Zygarde, the best Stolly Dragons in the meta. So, use this for a bit of a nostalgia trip, or if you really hate Eternus and Blissey.
Mew is the epitome of Mew meta. There are no limits to what it runs. Lead Mew was one of the most common sets in pre-Olive Armor OU, and it still sees some use in Highlander OU, which features Stealth Rock, Spike, Sticky Web, and maybe Recover. Offensive Mew can also be used, although its base 100 speed really holds it back. Cosmic Power Mew with Sword Power is more commonly seen, but without the ability of removing or being immune to status, it really is limited to what it can do. Support Mews are most often dual status, and well, like a certain legendary set that I enjoy, it makes people start raging with their best sets get neutered by the statuses. Thunderwave, Will-O-Wisp, Roost, and a damaging move, most preferably Stab, is put in this Mew set. In Shellnut, Mew is truly a jack of all trades, but the master of none.
You forgot Transform! That's a cool set to... Well, I'll admit, it can work in some cases where the Mew sashed or carries in prison on meme sets, but why would you do that when, well, I exist? My ability can literally make you become the opponent on switch in. Mew needs one turn to do that. Worst of all, if the opponent knows of your gimmick, they'll swap out of their threat and swap in a preferred Stalmon to waste turns on those precious 5 PP on each move. If you really want to use it, sure, but I doubt with the set's inconsistency and your ability to play Pokemon, it'll do anything good for your team. But... please die.
Raikou is surely a very odd Pokemon. With its decent speed and special attack, it can dish out some decent electric type damage, and have a pretty good move pool, notably Scald to hit ground types as well as Aura Sphere for, well, steel types. Shadow Ball is also another funky option one can run. With access to Volt Switch, it can offer powerful and speedy pivoting that can help in the effort of chipping away at the opponent's bulky water types that are frequently seen in the lower tiers. Oh, and I forgot to mention the Calm Mind set, which blows any special walls out of the water after one boost save Blissey. Unless the enemy is running Scope Lens, Sniper, and Talion, then those boosts aren't going to help if Raikou is below 61% health and it crits.
Entei is a pretty good Pokemon on paper, with balanced stats all across the board, and with the incredible Sacred Fire. Choice band spamming Enteis are hilariously effective, but hard to pull off due to the bulky water types and sometimes the influx of rain teams as well as the sand teams. Simply put, outrun and either drown it entirely or threaten its life away too hard to intimidate the opponent. Also, the move choices it has is not as powerful as many expect. Stopping Tantrum is not a very reliable move to lock yourself into, let alone to smack the sand teams that hard counter it. Extreme Speed is respectable, but easily stopped by ghost types, notably the Great Wall Jellicent. Sacred Fire's APP doesn't help it either, as it is limited in its spam ability, and when RNG isn't on its side, it either doesn't burn for 6 turns straight, or most annoyingly, completely misses. Entei is very inconsistent, but when it works, oh boy, it sure is satisfying. Well, on to the last dog. Sort of.
3 words: setup, stall. Pressure and Substitute are amazing partners. Combined with Suicune's own bulk, it can start setting up calm mines like nobody's business and then yeet opposing walls out of the sky. In other cases, it can run stall sets with Toxic and Protect alongside leftovers, and a support skit with Scald and Rest to soak up damage, pun absolutely intended, is also used on some balance teams. Honestly, we might as well call it the water bussy without soft-boiled. Anyways...
And we arrive at the Great Wall, or in my case, Offensive Breaker of Ubers. Lugia is the most commonly run with heavy-duty boots for keeping multi-scale up, and even runs the dual status set for maximum gamer rage. Of course, that debatably mediocre offensive stat is kind of disappointing considering that its signature move, Aeroblast, seems great for offense. But it didn't stop us from slapping a weakness policy on it. Multi-scaling makes the first hit you receive do 50% less damage, which is incredible on Weakness Policy Lugia, as the Weakness Policy can deactivate and do minimum damage at the same time. And honestly, it's hilarious watching people being confused about what they're looking at, simply because they only expect Stall Lugia. And when that works, oh god it works. Of course it gets checked by the special walls in the tier, as well as other status spamming Pokemon, like even the dual status, we'll save that for another time. Anyways, I seriously recommend everyone to use this funky yet fun set. And guess what? I slapped a weakness policy on it too. However, it doesn't really play to its strengths, plus not being able to hold the obligatory boots and needs for that 4x rock weakness really digs into the usefulness of weakness policy Ho-Oh. Regular Ho-Oh, on the other hand, is a very annoying Pokemon to deal with its capabilities of being a special wall, exhaustion switching if it doesn't have wall charge, and defogging. Regenerator is an absolutely amazing ability for Ho-Oh, giving it instant 1/3 health as it switches, so unless it's the last Pokemon, this turkey is going to abuse it to the max. And also, did I mention, Adam and Ho-Oh is absolutely hilarious.
Don't use it. It's basically base form Calyrex, but only slightly better, and even then U-Turn just demolishes it. Especially from Galarian Zapdos, that thing is incredibly 3 words.
Embrace the... Seriously though, there are actually very underrated Pokemon. Well, sort of. Regis can come in, tank any special hit from that massive special defense, and eats either a status move or the bulk being coverage that it has to cripple the opponent. Auroraville sets under Hail are the absolute shenasty, and its role as a special wall gets amplified even further. Regirock, the Un itself, is used by me as you guessed it, a weakness policy set. With Rock Polish up and +2 in offenses, it can blow some big holes into the opponent's team, and with Stone Edge and Earthquake, smacking even the mighty physical walls that are Toxapex and Moltres. Non-weakness policy sets usually run Body Press as its main attacking move, using that massive 200 base defense stat to its advantage, with status moves or other offensive boosts to play a more supporting role. Speaking of Body Press sets, Registeel is probably the easiest way to do it. With the move Iron Defense and its very good defensive spread, it walls almost the entirety of RU save Doublade, and maybe some other special attackers. Of Of course, I personally run a counter Registeel set to punish greedy Cinderaces and Mega Swamperts. They expect the Registeel to do pathetic damage to them and keep trucking on, but psych, here's your death handed over to you on a silver platter. With the Citrus Berry to better shrug off the powerful attacks that Registeel will be taking, and with Stealth Rock, Thunder Wave, the aforementioned counter, and Iron Head, you can seriously surprise the opponent and even be a decent anti-lead against the ever-present Landorus Therian. Regis is kind of like the runt of the litter, since it's only there to eat special attacks. But Ethanol, on the other hand, runs a Hail Setter with Aurora Veil and Ice Body. That makes it gain health back and helps your team out a lot. And on the plus side, Blizzard does not miss in Hail. Max health and defense EVs guarantees that it can lift some hard physical hits too, like Mega Scissors' vicious Bullet Punch. Overall, the Regis are, well, the definition of alone equals weak, together equals strong. Seriously, they have amazing synergy.
These things were once the best Dragon-type walls of OU, which is saying a lot because Dragon-types usually aren't walls, owing to their insane bulk and soldier back in the old days. Sadly, with a lot of power creeps like the Ultra Beasts and Fairies running about, it doesn't really take that much to bring them down as they did in the old days. Most notably, Latias being the more bulky of the two in terms of special defense, and Latios being the more offensive of the twins, capable of breaking through almost everything with a scarf in hand and a good old Draco Meteor to seal the deal. Latias in UU is quite the neat change of pace from the terrified power creep of Victini being everywhere, and pairing it with other offensive Pokemon like Scizor and running Healing Wish alongside Defog, and your team is going to stay chip free. Just be careful of Bisharp. Or Urshifu for that matter.
You really expect us to talk about this? When we literally made an entire month's worth of compilations and a How It Feels episode on them? Ah, well, here we go again.
Kyogre can be described in 2 words: Water Spout. With this disgustingly powerful move at its disposal, along with Rain and a stat boost, oh boy. Kyogre can effectively run a Scarf set, which can put immense pressure in even National Does Anything Goes, Meta-Slave infested environments, namely Zacian and Calyrex. Specs Fish is an incredibly powerful wall breaker, with its Water Spout 2-hit KOing Blissey. Blissey! Moving on to its Primal counterpart, the same Water Spout set can be run, but I thoroughly recommend Max Health Fish. It can shrug off Calyrex's Astral Barrages way easier and retaliate with Origin Pulse, which, provided it doesn't miss or the Calyrex has a sash, always eats it into the Shadow Realm. That 150 physical attack that Primal Fish has is also nothing to scoff at, which allows it to smack even the mighty Primal Groudon with an Earthquake on the switch in. If you really want to be that annoying, and when I mean that annoying, I mean, Jesus Christ, status is everywhere, the Rest Talk Fish set will be your piece of cake. With Scald, Roar, and the aforementioned Rest Talk, it can phase even a +1 Calyrex for the Bacon Board that you have in the back to deal with it. Scald Burns are also infuriating for the enemy team to deal with if they want to kill the giant fish. And Roar... Oh, I'm sorry about that boosted Xerneas, because you are not getting those stats back. Anyways, it's versatile, fun, and you will have a blast running the tier. Unless you use Scarf, that thing is brain dead.
Groudon is, well, very underrated. It might sound like it gets overshadowed by Arceus Ground, or its own Ascended form, but it hits deceptively hard. Slap a Choice Band on it and prepare for maximum pain if the other guy doesn't have a Kyogre, or a very hard-hitting special attacker. It can even be run defensively, with Rocky Helmet and other speed-lowering moves alongside the signature move Precipice Blades. Speaking of which, its primal form is its best check to Zacian in the Crown of the Dusk main. Although it's weak to Earthquake, and especially Ground Seiz's Judgment, its immense defenses can make a large difference. Not only that, but its special attack also gets buffed to ridiculous levels, letting it hit unexpectedly hard on both sides. Especially that hidden power Ice Beat on a Rayquaza switch in. Not even a Zygarde can live that set if it doesn't run max health. But then, Ethanol has a stupid set that he ran that worked for a while. Swords Dance Modest Groudon. First of all, HP Ice is worth it. Besides, you can lift P-Blaze from Ditto from full health and yeet it back. So, nice. Anyways, legit sword stance and by extent, raw powers variants are also stupidly good, as the opposing guy simply can't stop that 1008 attack without some serious counters, like Bulby, Primal Kyogre, or Yveltal when Dynamaxed. And those counters are, well, already yeeted into the sky by this thing. This freaking Skyworm. It's amazing and we love it. Go watch the How It Feels episode for just how fun and unique every Mega Rayquaza set that can be. Except the D-Dance Life Orb set, that thing can go rotten hell. It's surely an oddball. That attack form is usually used as a suicide lead, applying immense offensive pressure onto the opponent and start the game off at a breakneck pace. The defense form are used on some hardcore stall teams with Cosmic Power and Recover, which can prove to be annoying to deal with when you're lost your Bacon Bird or no phasers are present. The most notable form, the Speed form, is well used to set up hazards on hazard-laying hyper-offense teams. Stealth Rock, Spikes, Taunt, Magic Coat, and the occasional knockoff, Thunder Wave, are all fine choices for it, considering its generally short lifespan on the battlefield. In the normal form, we did talk about that.
Oh, hey, a Stereotype Legendary. The shame it gets overshadowed by, well, this. And this. Jokes aside, Dialga in Trick Room is a true menace. This single-handedly gives Dialga a huge advantage over its opponents, and can absolutely shred opposing teams with a Life Orb boosted Draco Media and Flash Cannon to do to Xerneas. Oh, and I forgot about something. Express yourself really loudly!
Silence, wench! Anyways, Palkia is more of a my type of Pokemon. It has a very powerful niche in Ubers alone, mainly to counter the Fish. With its quad resist to water in hand, it can tank max HP water spells from Fish and retaliate from Thunder, or mirror variants in my case, cripple it with Thunder Wave. With Spatial Rend, Hydro Pump, and, well, Fire Blast, it becomes a pretty good anti-meta lead.
For me, well, Palkia's been quite the ride. I used to run a Life Orb set with Fire Blast and Activeness Anything Goes, but right now when Gen 8 Ubers, well, since Dynamax and Zacian Crown got banned, Kyogre with Damp Rock splashed into the Zine, allowing Specs Palkia to spam Hydro Pump to its heart's content. Heck, it even knocks out 80% Self Zygarde complete under Rain. That's without mentioning Spatial Rend, and while abusing Thunder along the way to blast other Scarf Kyogres out of the water. Yeah, in short, well, Oko City.
Stealth Rock leads and then killing yourself is the name of the game of these mons, particularly Azelf. Uxie runs Memento since the defensive stats are absolute trash, and Mesprit, well, it also explodes.
Heatran is, well, odd. That glimmering 4x weakness to ground really digs into Heatran's ability to be a dedicated wall, but if the ground types on the opposing team are dealt with, Heatran can become a terror both offensively and defensively. On the offensive side, Scarf Eruption Heatrans found on some teams can come in and yeet whatever opposition it faces, and the regular Magma Storm plus Earth Power combo can counter most of the meta offensively. On the defensive, with its access to powerful support moves such as Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, and Stealth Rocks, alongside the infuriating Lava Plume and Scorching Sands, its abilities are also quite useful, with Flame Body being the oh-so-reliable RNG please give me a random burn counter to use such flip turn offense, and Flash Fire to absorb incoming fire moves. Its body is not ready, I'll tell you that. It is the leader of the Reggie trio, but probably the worst of them all, particularly thanks to Slow Start. With that awful ability, Regigigas is relegated to a stall role in his first 5 turns, severely limiting its offensive prowess until after the 5 turns are over. Of course, that didn't stop us from vibe checking people with it. I once killed a Mega Lopunny with it by spamming Drain Punch, and the opponent using the V to return, as he knew I had Protect. However, that was not the life form on Regigigas, and when the showdown was over, the Reggie was only on 6% health. So yeah, don't use it.
Giratina's altered form, in the meta spams Roar and statuses. It is genuinely infuriating when half your team gets status by this fat immortal dragon! However, base 100 attack isn't bad by any means, so it didn't stop us from slapping a weakness policy on it. With dual wind being jacked up into max airstream, and the special 293 base speed, we gave it to outspeed non-Scarf Calyrex by 1 speed point. It gave us the funny Calyrex counter we finally got that wasn't just Yveltal. On another note, after playing the actual Ubers meta post the Dynamax ban and Zacian Crown ban, Giratina proved to be, well, ridiculously fat, as we just used a dual status Calm mindset. It was ridiculous because, well, I lived a Dynamax cannon from Eternatus at +1 with a specially defensive Giratina, which should prove enough on how bulky this dragon is. Oh, and about Origin form, Will-O-Wisp, Hex, and Shadow Sneak. Impressive, I know! To be fair, Giratina Origin is a complete monster with speed control. I prefer Tailwind over Web since that base 306 speeding helping you with Scarfed Calyrex Shadow Rider, and because I run bulky Giratina with max health and max defense. Unless a friendly Sideguard paralyzes the Calyrex or Zacian in question, then when you switch it in on a Tailwind turn, brace for some sweet, sweet damage.
Also known as the Great Wall of OU, Cresselia's amazing defense stats and the ability to learn Trick Room makes a great team setter for its little partners like Stakataka and even Specs Regidrago. Of course, not saying that it can't hold its own, it just, well, also likes to commit the funny.
Don't use Fiona, just don't. Manaphy on the other hand, well, slap a Z move on it, under rain, set up Tail Glow, and then GG. Seriously, it goes for it +3 of Surf. Z Surf actually. That thing is disgusting. Unfortunately, I haven't used it before.
That Pokemon is the definition of getting neutered by the devs. Poor thing. Dark Void got lowered from 80% accurate to 50% accurate, and thus its niche sleep span fell into oblivion. If you really want to commit the money, use Z Hypnosis and Nightmare. You will 100% regret your decision.
Two words for base form. Rest Switch. Natural Gear lets Shaman, or should I say, Shaman, instantly wake up from sleep and at full health. Plus, Leash Seed can chip away at defensive teams, and Seed Flare and Nerf Power are not attacks to be messed with. It's a shame nobody runs this set because it kinda gets eaten by Cinderace and every other ice type worth its salt. Skyman on the other hand, this is fun, isn't it? Huh? No? Well, too bad you're stuck in this endless loop of pain forever!
Quordorn?
Incarnate.
Neutralist?
Anti-Peas.
This is going nowhere, is it?
I agree.
Well, there's so many Arceus sets out there, and all the forms alone make them very varied in their roles.
Ah, yes, most of them being, you know, the only Calyrex counters out there.
True, but they mostly do that by eating a T-Wave and crippling it, I guess.
What about Will-O-Wisp? That lets it completely shut down Zacian.
Well, guess what happens when that thing runs into a Primal Groudon?
We're gonna get T-Wave or Will-O-Wisp. Okay. I guess that's all we have to offer to the mighty god of the Pokemon universe.
Don't forget about the fog!
Well, I'm a lot of ideas to talk about way.
Yeah, we've only covered 4 generations. I shiver to imagine the other 4.